Hi guys, and welcome to Olivia's Catastrophe. I'm Olivia and I'm here to give you my June wrap-up post. Now this setting is a little bit different because a lot of things have been going on in June. Primarily I am in Spain, I'm in Alicante and I'm being an au pair for all of July and half of June. I started on the 18th and I leave at the beginning of August. So I'm in Spain, my schedule is completely messed up and I've decided this month that I want to do a lot of things. So before we get into the books that I read in the month of June, let's talk about what I did in the month of June briefly. There were quite a few things that I did. Number one was I decided that I wanted to take down my blog. Olivia's Catastrophe is being completely revamped and redesigned. So you might see things like a new banner appearing very soon and a new profile image for my channel because it will also be affecting my social media. I'm sorry for any reviews that are being delayed because I just haven't been in a happy place in my blog right now, and the most important thing is that you enjoy blogging, so that's why I've decided I'm going to change it up in the way that suits me before I get back to my usual schedule. There were a lot of things that happened. I went out for lunch with my mum a couple of times, we had some friends over for dinner. I also had my last day working at the nursery, which I'd really been enjoying doing. I really miss being called Miss Olivia. I went to see Wonder Woman with my little sister and best friend, and Wonder Woman was great, you guys, but hopefully I'll be doing a video review of the movie a bit later on. I also finally saw White Chicks. Then I flew to Spain to be an au pair, and it's kind of crazy for me because this is a very extroverted family, and I'm an extroverted introvert, but basically what I've been doing all day is extroverted things, and then I get home and sleep, so my reading is kind of stopped. I've been loving the amount of beach days we have. We love to go to the beach. There's 3 kids that I'm looking after, they're all really nice, and as well as that, something's happened where we go hiking every Tuesday. The first time I went hiking, I went in my Converse. I did not know what hiking was going to be like. I don't own hiking boots, but now I do. Now I've bought some because we're going every Tuesday. The first mountain we went up seemed to be the hardest mountain that they could find for me to do. It was very, very steep, but I reached the peak, and since then I've just been hitting those peaks every Tuesday. I'm absolutely loving hiking. The views are spectacular. I've been meeting lots of Spanish people. We celebrated the night of San Juan, I believe, on the beach by setting fire to notes and jumping over the fire, making wishes and having dinner, picnic at the beach around midnight. It was really nice. And the next day I went into Alicante to watch the burning figures. I'm not exactly sure what this celebration is called, but they build up these figures and monuments throughout a whole year, and they set fire to them and we watched them burn, and it was absolutely an amazing experience. But that is enough talking about my life. Let's get onto the books that I read in the month of June. Okay, so I read 8 books, and usually when it's summer holidays I usually read about 12 plus, so 8 books is kind of a low for me, but you're going to see why, because some of those books that I read were really big books. 6 of them were Santino Hassel novels. I know, if you check out my previous wrap-ups, I have a Santino Hassel problem where I cannot stop reading his books, and I'm pretty much going to read until I've read through all of them. I've just come to accept that fact, and I'm almost there, which is kind of scary. But as well as that, I read 2 other books that were from the young adult genre that were not Santino Hassel, so let's start with those ones first. The first one that I read was Internet Famous by Danica Stone, and this one is a debut novel about this blogger who's a teenager who's trying to handle her blogging life, help out her younger sister who has a mental illness, and she starts to fall in love with somebody that she met online. So you can see how this one is a really contemporary young adult book, and I enjoyed it for the most part, but it wasn't my favourite read of the month. It was actually probably my lowest in stars, I think. I've got a full review in my blog below, so I'll leave a link to that. The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee, another one I had to review for my blog, but I absolutely adored this book. I rated it 5 stars. What this book is about, oh my gosh, I forgot the main character's name. I believe it's Harry. I'll correct myself down below if I'm wrong. But his name is Harry, I believe, and he is going on a tour through Europe. He lives in America and he's on a tour through Paris and some places in Europe and everything. And at the end of this tour, his best friend, who has been his best friend for his whole life, Percy, is going to be going to school in the Netherlands. But the thing is that he doesn't want his friend to leave. also, he's totally in love with his best friend, but he doesn't know how to break it to him. He also has a reputation for sleeping around, messing with girls and guys alike, and it's very scandalous because this is also a historical novel, so it's set in the past, but don't let that deter you because it is just so great. It's absolutely wonderful. The trouble and adventures they get into was just so much fun to read about. The characters were lovely, and even though you can tell that there's so many flaws to Harry, he's still such a person that you have to like. I can't explain it. And Percy's just the most wonderful love interest. It's so brilliant seeing their best friends thing kind of, I don't know, change or be hinted at a love story, but it's not too heavy, it doesn't take over the whole plot, and it also deals with some very important topics like racism, like feminism, like mental illness, and it manages to do all of that while talking about it in terms of history, but still in a way that's relevant today. And just the way that the author managed to balance that is absolutely mind-blowing to me, and if you haven't read this young adult book already, I really recommend that you do. Okay, I'm getting ready, you guys. Are you ready? Because now we are going to talk about the Santino Hassel novels, and there is going to be a large amount of fangirling on my part. So the first Santino Hassel novel I read was Insight, and this one is part of a series, and I was so hyped to read it because if you have looked at my other previous wrap-ups, I'll leave links to that below. I mentioned Stygian by Santino Hassel. I don't know why I haven't filmed a review of this book yet, but I will. And Stygian by Santino Hassel is basically my favourite novel of his, and it's a kind of paranormal new adult romance with a lot of stress on the paranormal. And one of the main characters, Jeremy Black, mentions that he has a family that are all blacks, that are all got these paranormal kind of powers, and they're all kind of crazy, and he doesn't have anything to deal with them, basically. But Santino Hassel has written a series where he goes back to the family and to the crazy family, so even though Jeremy doesn't make a cameo appearance in it yet, you get to see more stories about the blacks, basically, and it's absolutely wonderful. It's such a brilliant story, and even if you're not a big fan of new adult, although there is new adult in there, this one more focuses on the storytelling aspect of it, of the paranormal plotline where a twin's brother gets murdered and disappears. He's murdered by drowning, but his brother, his twin brother, Nate Black, knows that he can swim, so he knows something suspicious is going on, and he goes to New York and he ends up travelling with this guy called Trent, and they discover this whole community of other paranormals where there's a hierarchy and things are definitely suspicious in this community. It was so good. I absolutely loved it. I loved the tensions between the characters, but most of all, I have to say, I love the plot. There is the, new adult romance aspect, but the plot was really what sold me here. Even though some people think new adult is just about, the romance, the dirtiness, Santino Hassel proves to me time and time again that a storyline that is creative, that is inventive, can be included and can be done absolutely wonderful well. Now, this was probably one of the latest books that I read this month, but I also read the sequel, Oversight by Santino Hassel, which was released in the month of June. So I basically got it 2 days after it came out, because I was kind of busy with au pair stuff, but then I read it in about 2 days flat, even though I was exhausted and been doing all this stuff, and it was very, very good. This time we're still continuing on the plot line from the previous book. More stuff has happened, more drama has happened. I'm not going to tell you what it is because that's a lot of spoilers, but this time we're following the point of view of Holden, which is a different character. I wasn't really feeling the romance that much between Holden and Sixtus, just because of the way Sixtus's character is. He's somebody who has trouble with empathy, which means he was supposed to come off as stiff, but the stiffness didn't work for me in the relationship. But it was still a very good book that I would give 4.5 stars to, probably 4 stars to. Oh gosh, now we get to the best series. Then I was kind of like, oh my gosh, I have nothing more to read that's by Santino Hassel. So I was like, I've got nothing more to read until I dug, and I found a series by Santino Hassel and someone called Ice, and it's called Edenfall. And it's a series called The Agency, and I was like, what is this? How did I not hear about it? So I read the reviews on Goodreads and everybody was raving about this book. So I was like, I'll have to try it. And the thing is that it's not an officially published series because it's an online series that they started writing online, and it's unedited, which means it's super long, but the first books The first book, they've split into Even Fool Part 1 and Even Fool Part 2, and they've done quite a lot of editing of that, so you've got the original version, which is super long, and then you've got the director's cut. I recommend you read the director's cut, which is the one they've edited as much as possible. And Even Fool Part 1 was mind-blowing. It's about these two characters, Sin and Boyd. Sin is this like psychopath, he's crazy, he's an assassin for an agency that is top secret, and he's brutal, he doesn't like working with people. They try to get him a partner, and nearly every time he kills his partner, or the partner dies for reasons that he doesn't want to share, so they're trying to find him a partner, and that just happens to be Boyd, who is a civilian, who is not part of the agency, who has nothing to do with the spy life, but he has a really dodgy history that affects him and gives him PTSD, like post-traumatic stress disorder vibes. So, they end up being partners, and surprisingly to everyone, they get along, there's a lot of tension, there's some new adult-worthy romances, and the best thing of all has to be Sin. Sin Liu Vega, the assassin. I absolutely fell for his character straight away. The description of his character, the way he's such a mix of different ethnicities, the way he's vicious, sarcastic, rude, the way that when he cares about you, you can see that he like cares about you despite him being someone who feels like he can't get along with anyone in the world, that he's dehumanized, that he hates people. It's just so good. And there's so much to the agency, there's so much depth to the story that I cannot even comprehend it in a wrap-up. But Even Fool Part 1 and Even Fool Part 2 were absolutely amazing. So what did I do after that? I continued to read the series, even though these were now uncut versions, unedited, and super long. The second book in the series is called After Image by Santino Hassel. I'm not going to tell you what happens, but it goes into more depth, more drama, more Sin and Boyd, and it is 1,015 pages long. This is why I did not read more than 8 books this month, you guys, because it's 1,015 pages, and I read all of it, and I absolutely adored every moment of it, so I decided I was going to continue on reading, and I read the third book in the series, which is called The Interludes by Santino Hassel and Ice, and that had 913 pages. So in total, when it comes to the series alone, I have read over 2,000 pages of Sin Liu Vega and Sin and Boyd. I don't even know how many pages Even Fool is, but it's over 2,000 in general of just their story. And I would not trade a single word of it for anything. It was just so good. So good, you guys, so good. 5 stars, 10 stars, I don't even care, all the stars. So, that includes all the books that I managed to read in June. July, I know that I want to try and read the last book in the series, and I'll probably go on to all the prequels and short stories that he's got of that, and I'll try and read some other books as well, but to be honest, I don't think I'm going to be doing much reading in July because of my schedule with being an au pair and the fact that I'm really loving the Spanish life. It's a bit difficult for me because this family is a sugar-free family, a vegetarian family, and I am a clean eater, so I eat healthy, but I don't actually eat sugar-free or vegetarian, so I'm adapting to that as well as adapting to the weather and, you know, fulfilling my hours as an au pair as well as doing all the fun things that I can do in my free time. So I don't think I'll be doing much reading in July, and that is why I'm not going to set a TBR. It's been quite a while since I've not set a TBR, but I haven't really been following it lately because of Santino Hassel's novels being available to me, so I think this month I'm not going to set a TBR. We'll see how it goes, and August as well I'm going to be travelling, so probably my TBRs will be coming back in September. I'll read when I can, what I want when I can, and I'll see you when I see you. I'm not sure when that's going to be because of all the stuff happening with my blog. I'm really focusing on that, so I don't think I'm going to be making or releasing a lot of videos, but hopefully I can get another one up soon. Please bear with me. I love you all. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you lasted this long, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comment section below what your favourite read of June was, what you've been up to this month. I can't wait to hear from you, and I'll see you whenever it's possible. Goodbye.